Example 10. Solving a quadratic equation with the quadratic formula. Use the quadratic formula to solve x squared plus x plus 2 equals 0. First, we identify the coefficients. A is equal to 1, b is equal to 1, and c is equal to 2. And we're going to substitute these values into the quadratic formula. Step 2, here's our quadratic formula. So we have a negative times 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times 2 over 2 times 1. So we get negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 minus 8 over 2. So we get negative 1 plus or minus 1 minus 8 is negative 7, so we have the square root of negative 7 over 2. And then because we have a negative under the radical sign, we need to factor out the imaginary number I. So we get x, which is equal to negative 1 plus or minus I times the square root of 7 over 2. Again, it's easier to write the I on the left side of the radical sign, so you don't have it underneath the radical sign here. So we have two solutions, negative 1 minus I times the square root of 7 over 2, negative 1 plus I times the square root of 7 over 2. So those are the solutions. Now I also want you to notice the graph here. When we graph this parabola, here is the x-axis. And everything that we've seen up until this point is that the parabola crosses through the x-axis, and we can figure out what the solutions are. What that means is whenever we have an imaginary solution, it's not going to pass through the x-axis. So we can have a parabola that's below the x-axis, that's going in the opposite direction, or above it. And whenever that is the case, that means we have imaginary solutions.